What's up, Taiwan? Good evening. I'm Chou with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan recorded nearly 77,000 new COVID-19 cases on Friday. Taiwan's health minister says the ongoing COVID wave will ease in the coming days. While a high vaccination rate amongst adults is helping, children are still vulnerable. 13 children have now died since the pandemic began. John Van Trieste has this report.
This is the latest frontier in Taiwan's battle against its most severe COVID outbreak yet. Child vaccination centers have been set up in the country's 6 biggest cities. On Friday, Premier Su Tseng-chang visited the center set up in the central city of Taichung and hailed it as an early success.
比如我们台中种种设的这个施打站，3天来就5000人，今天就1000多人已经预约要施打，不但给家长方便，孩童受到保护，而且减轻了地方的负担。
Authorities say the current COVID wave may soon start to ebb. The country's health minister estimates that by the end of this week, 90% of Taiwan's people will have had at least one COVID jab. And the growing number of people who've had COVID is helping too.
10%左右，其实疫情就有一些的相对的反转。我们现在的趋势看起来跟新加坡还蛮像的，就一个丘陵的形状。
He says the daily tally of new cases could fall in 10 days' time. But not everyone can breathe easy. It's been just a month since Taiwan started vaccinating children under 12, and children under 5 still can't get a vaccine. There are 7 mass vaccination centers for 5 to 11-year-olds. Taichung's mayor says 54% of the city's children have been vaccinated, and in Taipei, it's predicted that more than half the eligible children will be vaccinated by the end of the week. James Rayner and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The annual Dragon Boat race is coming up this long weekend. It's a race that dates back centuries. The competition was scaled down last year, but this year the restrictions have been lifted. TaiwanPlus reporter Bing Wang caught up with a visually impaired team on their first foray into the competition.
Rowing to the beat of their own drum. For the last 2 months, Yamin has been leading her Dragon Boat team down the river to practice.
就是有部分的朋友都是视障朋友，有弱势的朋友，有全盲的朋友，那再加上陪跑员组成的一个龙舟队，所以取名为睁一只眼闭一只眼。
The team began as a support group for the visually impaired, hosting activities for them to socialize. It's Turn Up Blind Eye's first foray into the annual Dragon Boat competition, where they're hoping to challenge stereotypes that one needs to have sight to participate in sports.
大部分都已经认识了，因为我们是由一群陪跑员跟视障朋友组成的龙舟队伍，对，所以我们平常其实是一起跑步的。
They even have their biggest fan to cheer them on. The Dragon Boat Festival dates back millennia in Asian cultures. It's celebrated on the 5th day of the 5th month on the lunar calendar. And this 3-day race in Taipei is one of the most popular sporting events. 4,000 people and hundreds of teams will come here to celebrate on this river. Some teams have competed together for decades, even training all year round. Other teams are in it just to have fun. Turn Up Blind Eye have been practicing for around 2 months. While it may be hard for them to see, they use specially taped paddles to help them guide their movements.
是因为就是那个龙舟它握桨的时候有一定的高度，那因为有一些朋友的视力不好，或者是我们看不清楚，那它这个是为了标注那个定位，然后让我们握到正确的位置这样子。
By listening to the drum beats, the team knows exactly when to paddle in unison. Turn Up Blind Eye may not be in the competition to win, but they are here to prove that they can compete as well as anyone, and in turn raise awareness of the struggles and successes of visually impaired people in Taiwan.
1、2、3，救！
Damon Lin and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. has reintroduced a line about not supporting Taiwan independence to its online fact sheet. Last month, the State Department removed the line, but the sentence saying Washington does not support Taiwan's independence was put back on May 28th. The older version of the fact sheet said Washington acknowledged Beijing's position that Taiwan is part of China. That statement disappeared last month as well, but it has not been restored. Washington has since said the update did not reflect a change in policy. Taiwan and the European Union have agreed to work towards improving their trade ties, especially in semiconductors. The annual high-level talks were held by video conference. The two sides discussed setting up a platform for strategic issues, including the semiconductor supply chain and offshore wind power. The EU is Taiwan's fifth largest trading partner and the country's biggest source of foreign investment. The U.S. says Taiwan is failing to guarantee its foreign domestic workers some of their religious rights, but Washington has acknowledged that progress has been made. In an annual report on religious freedom around the world, the U.S. says domestic workers in Taiwan are not legally entitled to a weekly day off. This affects more than 200,000 people, many of whom are Muslims from Indonesia and Catholics from the Philippines. In some cases, workers failed to get the days off promised in their contracts. Taiwan has said that such incidents can be reported to the Labor Ministry. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the measure is a sign of progress.
In Taiwan, authorities are making it easier to report employers who refuse to give their workers a weekly rest day in order to attend religious services.
There are 2 billion bicycles in use in the world, and many of them were made here in Taiwan. In the last several decades, Taiwan has transformed from a country that not only makes bikes to a place that encourages people to make cycling part of their daily life. Today on World Bicycle Day, our reporter Jaime Ocon is marking the day on 2 wheels.
"15 years ago, if you wanted to ride around Taipei, it'd have to be on one of these. But in 2012, Taipei launched a public bike sharing system called U-Bike. Now in a moment, I'm going to take one of these for a spin. But first, a little background.
Taiwan's obsession with bicycles can be traced back to the 1970s, with the rise of homegrown manufacturers like Giant and Merida. They make some of the world's best bicycles. And while Taiwan was making a lot of bikes, few people were actually using them until about a decade ago. Giant teamed up with the city of Taipei to launch U-Bike, a public bike sharing system that took inspiration from a program in Paris.
I'm here at National Taiwan University, which is one of the most busiest U-Bike stations in the city. With more than 30,000 rides in May alone, it's no wonder that there's only a few bikes left. Now I've got an Easy Card here that I've registered with the system, and I'm going to rent one of these bikes. All you have to do is push the green button on the display, tap your card, and once you hear the beep, you're good to go.
There are hundreds of kilometers of dedicated bike paths in Taipei that enable bikers to ride around the city separate from the traffic. And those paths stretch far beyond the capital. There are more than 7,000 kilometers of bikeways crisscrossing the nation. U-Bikes are available in almost every major city in Taiwan, including New Taipei, Taichung, and even as far south as Kaohsiung. And the numbers of stations is growing. By the end of this year, Taipei will have about 1,200 stations, and that means no matter where you are in the city, the nearest U-Bike will only be about 200 meters away.
我一下了捷运，一下了公车，我马上就有非常方便的 U-Bike 可以选择，那我就可以去到更深入的地方，例如有很多的河滨公园啊，那所以大家也就愿意更往户外跑，然后也更健康、更环保，是这样子发展的过程。
With thousands of more U-Bikes set to go into service this year, Taiwan is making it even easier for its scooter-loving populace to opt for a quieter, more environmentally friendly set of wheels. Klein Wang, Eugene Huang, and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from here in Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of a dragon boat race with a twist at a resort in central Taiwan's Taichung City. The families competed to make dragon boats using their bodies and pool toys. I've been Joey Chou. Have a good night, and I'll catch you on the flip side.